supporting you to connect with your voice is, in a nutshell, the most simple way I can explain what it is we do and what our work is about. And I've been thinking today about how much information we are now exposed to in our day-to-day. Also, the volume at which we are consuming media of all different types, data, opinions, entertainment. When we're in that digital space, we are plugged in, not just to one thing, but there's multiple dimensions of communication through multiple different mediums going on. Thinking like we could be sitting reading our emails, but also manning what's coming in through the phone whilst listening to a podcast, whilst having another screen open and making reference to something, whilst looking at a diary. And the pace at which we are responding to this information is, it's unprecedented. Having that immediate access. So I'm thinking back to lockdown, and I remember at some point I was in this phase of registering for lots of different webinars and sessions and meetings and link ups, and from a creative industries perspective, as a woman, there was a lot of great networking going on that kind of opened up certain avenues that actually hadn't really been present in the same way in the physical space until that point. So it was very much a kind of grabbing opportunities whilst they were there. And also there was, in some way, the pressure to connect. There were also opportunities to showcase and platform and perform. So that was a driving factor as well. And also just opportunities to meet with other people that you hadn't seen, and that at that point was the main channel or vehicle through which many of us were intersecting. And I think I was averaging about 6 or 7 Zoom meetings a day for a very intensive period, which it sounds crazy now, but I kind of try to relate this to, okay, if I was planning out my physical day accompanied by the tasks that I have to do practically, and then in terms of my own self-care and other, just general things that I need to get on with in the day, 7 meetings is a lot. And from a kind of capacity point of view, lengthy meetings of up to 90 minutes, sometimes longer, and then a little sliver of time if you're lucky, and then back to back onto another meeting. This was definitely a flavour and a space that I was swimming in for some time during lockdown, and I don't think I'm alone there. But with the digital infrastructure then that we are now leaning on more so, and particularly thinking about how I'm showing up in business and my decision to ensure that I was spending more of my time investing to build a platform to be able to have reach and for this work to be more widely accessible to a greater number of people. That is also something that was stirred up and stimulated at that time. And I think, yes, I was starting actually really at the kind of beginning of moving forward with this business at that point. So yeah, it was a kind of strange time because a lot of what I had been doing prior to that in a freelance capacity was very in-person based. So it was kind of this situation of, okay, I suddenly feel the pressure to be residing in the digital sphere and building building the infrastructure, as I say. So fast forward to today, and how does this relate to voice work? We're even more accustomed to being plugged in now because we utilized tools at that point which, if they weren't already part of our way of working, they're certainly normalized for many more people. And in the day, if I time block and I look at a meeting, listen to a podcast, maybe watch something, maybe read some messages, maybe have some interactions with people out and about, maybe have some meetings. And then I look at that mosaic, and then where is the space that I am actually connecting with my voice and my internal space, my communication? Am I allowing there to be space for that? Am I giving myself room to listen, to acknowledge, and to receive messages? Or am I filling space? Am I prioritizing other voices, other ideas, other people's input? To what extent? Where is the balance of that in the day, and how is that reflected actually in the tasks that we're doing? So I'm saying I and asking myself that in a reflective way, because I'm thinking about this from the point of view of that business timeline and, you know, that kind of trajectory of trying to work in the online space. And also in terms then of what we can provide and offer as a business is a means by which you can start to explore this relationship with your voice and actually build tools into your everyday practice and routines that accompany you and travel with you in whatever capacity, whether that is in your creative life, your professional life, your personal life, that give you prompts and reminders and invitations to be with yourself and be with your voice and be with that internal narrative, that internal dialogue that reflects that inspiration, maybe that little voice, maybe those other voices that are more abstract that have not had space to be heard and acknowledged. That is, in essence, what we do here and what we encourage and support other people to do.